Yes, yes. Give thanks, family. Coming again with we Brethren Ras Iadonis. You know, respect King.
Yes, respect. Uncommon Jed. Yes, I. Salam to Tena
Yeah,
Estelet. Yes, I.
yeah. Yes, I. So we continuing with the series. Um, lesson three, introduction to Geese. But I think it prudent to start with this note here. So the IOs kick it off one time, my lord.
Yes, yes, yes. Greetings, greetings, greetings to the viewers, the fellow students, and those interested right here on Uncoma Jed's platform right here. I give thanks. So we're going to begin now, really continue and continuing, right? Beginning the continuation here. Lesson three. This is from what's the book again? The cover's off again. I want to just get the right.
Introduction to Classical Ethiopic by Thomas Lambdin.
Give thanks. That's the reference here. So the D section you see on the screen right there is root and pattern. So just to go over some of the basics of the root and the pattern in Ethiopic. Now, just a couple of points here. Ethiopic is what academically, the academics call the language Ethiopic. More correctly or more fully from the Ethiopian perspective, it would be called Gu'ez, right? So in Gu'ez or Ethiopic, you may hear say that, as in Semitic languages in general, most verbs, nouns, and adjectives may be analyzed into a sequence of three consonants and a vowel pattern, with or without a prefixal or suffixal element. Briefly, as Ankoma Jed and I were reasoning, um, in the Semitic languages, and this is the key for one studying, there's often what they call a tri-consonantal root. Tri, like three letters that form the root. So what it's basically saying right here is that we're going to look at the sequence, right? And this is like the pattern, like the root. This is the code. This is like getting on code. The root and the pattern is like getting on code here. The three consonants. And then with each consonant, there's a vowel because it's like a syllable, right? So there's the consonant, and then there's the vowel tone. And as we mentioned earlier, there's the seven primary ancient Shemitic pattern or Afro-Shemitic pattern, right? So this is the pattern right here for pattern recognition, and it will not have any prefix like a preposition or any suffix, like a pronoun like ownership, like not my king or from the king to the king. And let's go down here, king, to the consonant base. So if we can lift it up right there, the consonant base, right? Where we have the words right there. Okay. So the consonant base. So you see the Negus, and over the S is like a bird. I forgot the exact technical name, the phonetic name of that particular diacritical mark. But when you see that in this lesson of Lambdin's lesson, and among other academics, that in ancient times would make the S syllabated. So instead of, as we say today, negus, in more ancient times, it would have been more negush, 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 negush. It's like a slur that makes the S sound more like a sh, negus, right? Negush, right? Negush. So you see negush, right, which is king. And then under the column that says consonant base, right? Consonant base, you have the N, you have the G, and you have the S. But that S, remember the little bird, the little sign above it, is a SH. When we go to the most ancient enunciation of the Gutters, an ancient Shemitic, language, right? So we have Negush, right? So it's the ne or the ne, the ge, and the she, right? Or the N, the G, and the S. So that right there is the tri three, like a trinity, the tri-consonantal base. When we talk about the Trinity and we get into the real science of language and the evidence, it's there, right? So the next is the vowel pattern. So breaking down this particular word, ne, gu, sh, negush, king, with the N, the G, and the S, or the SH sound, you see under the vowel pattern, there's a C. So the C is the consonant. The C is the consonant, and then it has one. So the first consonant, the second consonant, the third consonant, the N, the gu here, and the sh. So if you notice, after the C, there's the one, and then you see the E, right? Now, in this particular lesson, the Lambdin lesson, him being an academic, this is a part of the, what they call it, the phonetics, how they, in Latin, in the English, break down the phonetics. So this is another something that we need to learn if one is using this particular lesson plan, is the E is a I sound. So remember there's seven primary vowels, right? Seven, there's the U, E, A, I, O. So that E there will be I, right? We'll break this down, but just to get through this word so one can hopefully, the C, one, that's the N, right? And then the sound is that E there is enunciated as a I, right? N, the N, and the I, N, right? And then the next C is the second consonant. Therefore, the two is there. Then you see the U, right? For the G and the U, gu, right? Negu. Lastly, you have the C and the three. Note that there's no vowel. So even though the letter itself there is shit, it's not negushit. It's not negushit. You'll notice that in the AI and the translation softwares, there's a little glitch that they haven't been able to, I guess, write a code around just yet, where you'll see, like, if this word for king, negus, in Amharic, they'll have negusit. But at the end, the sixth order has no sound, no main sound. So even though it's ne, gu, shit, so the same ne sound is there at the end, but it seals up the sound, so the vowel is not emphasized. So negush, right? Not negush, that's emphasized, negush. So you notice the C3 has no vowel right there, right? Now, going on, it says additional elements. So this is like the noun for king, right? There's none. It's just a pure noun, right? Negush, right? Next up is the word for queen, right? Negisht, negisht, right? Negisht. Like in Amharic, it would be negist. But here in the Ge'ez, it is negisht, right? Queen, right? Notice that the consonant base is the same, right? The N, the G, and the SH, the same base. So remember we're saying that the root, it comes down to Trinity, a three consonant letter root. Now this is not just only for Ge'ez, it's also the same for like biblical Hebrew or Yehudi, and also other, you could say, Shemitic and Afro-Shemitic languages. But let's break down the vowel pattern. So we notice that for negush and negisht, right, king and queen, from ancient Ge'ez enunciation, they both have they're from the same roots, But the vowel pattern, looking at the vowel pattern, we see the C, right? The C for the N, the N, right? And the E there is the I, right? We see the C2, right? It's also the E in the vowel pattern there, and is for the I. So it's N, G, right? And then we see the C3, and notice something there. It has a hyphen there, right? Right? Because the letter there is a sh, but then the suffix to distinguish it from the root, from negush, right? From king, you see the T. The T often in Shemitic languages, Ge'ez, right? and also the companion biblical Hebrew, the T usually, not always, but usually in the Gutters here, it's usually a feminine terminal. It's called a feminine terminal. Feminine terminal, that means that having that letter at the end, it distinguishes this from that base from the male. So
Now that same feature it in Kemetic too, in Egyptian.
yeah. Thank you for bringing that in. True. And because Kemetic also, or I call it the Tawi. That's a whole other discussion we can have. The Tawi. Kemetic is only like one part of the land, right? Not the full two lands. But in the Tawi, or the ancient Egyptian, is correct. It's also that Afro-Shemitic, something that's shared in many of the ancient languages. But so thank you. The suffix. So you see the suffix. It does have a suffix, right? It does have that suffix there that distinguishes it. Let's go to the next one. We have Burhan. Burhan. Burhan, or Bur. If you want to roll the R, Bur. Burhan. But Burhan.
Burhan.
Now, notice that it has that same E. So for the proper enunciation is it. Bit, not be, right? Like not burr, but bird, like bird. Almost like remember bird in Amharic, Ethiopic is for silver, or like commonly money today, right? Silver. But and notice that silver has that like light color. That bright. You know how silver, looks like light. You see light.
Right.
So Burhan is light or illumination, right? Consonant base. So now here we have the three letters again, the roots, right? So like once you understand this and you start to go through like words and gutters, even in Amharic, but we're focusing on gutters, you look at a word, and it's one thing that you learn to do. You'll begin to see what the root in there is. So you get the root idea, and then based on how it's built, you will get the sense of what's being said. But here we have be, re, ha, right? Bara, the sense of bara, right? But here's the B, the R, the H. So notice the root here is 3 letters, but the word Burhan is 4 letters. Let's go on to the vowel pattern to break it down, right? So we have the C1, that's the B, right? And then
one second. Yeah, I know the word baraka.
Yeah, that's like for commonly translated as bless, like blessing, sense of bless and blessing. Baraka, like baraka in that form, the way you said it right there is like the Gutters enunciation. It would be maybe like baraka or baraka. Yeah, that comes from the Shemitic sense of bless, like a sense of like increase, multiply, prosper, but the sense of bless. Yeah, baraka. It's shared in other languages too, sometime as a loan word, but yeah,
That because it's really Arabic considering it, because down in Trinidad here it have a place named Baraka Grounds now. And then it have the Islamic holiday what it is called Eid Mubarak too.
Oh yeah. That's so interesting you said that. I met this a friend, hail up to Amari Ama if she gets to hear this, and also Bismillah, her brother. But he had a poster in his print shop and it had the Eid, and I was showing my sister, my wife, I was showing her Miste. I was showing her like Mubarak, because in Hebrew, when we say shalom, Shabbat shalom, we can also add, often the added part is not there amongst others, but it's Miborak, right? Shabbat shalom, Miborak. Is like and, like the wet, and Miborak, right? Miborak is like to say have a peaceful Sabbath and a blessed one. So the Mubarak, right, in the Arabic, and the Miborak, Mubarak. So like dialects, like tomato. It's like dialects. It's like what English today, we always don't pronounce the word exactly the same, but we know what one is saying. You know what I mean? We can get the idea. But yeah. So that also one thing I don't want to just go on, but sometime in translation, the K in like Baraka, like one like with the former president, many people kind of it depends on there's a word that is baraka and there's baraka, right? Like in Arabic, there's the burak, this donkey or something that their prophet took to ascend up into heaven, right? And it has a sense of lightning. So there's like barakah and there's barakah, right? Barakah. So the ka and the ka, the Q sound sometimes is confused. One means bless and one means like lightning, has a sense of lightning. You know what I'm saying? Like mebrek, like in them heart, mebrek, mebrek, lightning. So it could be blessing, something from the blessing root, or I'll have to see the Arabic to really make the, you know what I mean? To make the distinguishment. Because some basically say the K in the same way, but in Arabic, they say like Barak.
So you say Aisat Mabrak. Aisat.
Something like that. Yeah. Isat Mebrek. Yeah,
Yeah.
Isat Mebrek. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so here, but the same root of the bara does have a sense of kind of illumination. So I would just see right here there is a link from this
Mhm.
root sense of light, illumination. So it might not be, it could be the other word, but that word would be BRK. So the one for baraka, the blessing, would be BRK. The one for light and lightning would be BRQ properly. So just that distinguishment. But
Mhm.
since the Shemitic Q is pronounced different than the English Q, the English Q is pronounced with always a U. Whenever you see Q in English, it always has a U. That's why many of the other Israelites and other ones, like from some of these other camps, that are antagonistic somewhat to their own roots, the commandment keepers, Ethiopian congregation, of the living God. But they often say words as qua, because in English, when we see a Q, we're forced based on that programming to see a U sound. So this is why you might hear one say qua, but that's not the sense right there. Barakwa, Barakwa when the Q is there, right? But anyway, here the bara or the BRH, the light, we have the C2 and then we have the C3, right? So the C3 is the H. Now you notice that the H, so is ber, 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 ber. So BRH, ber, that hyphen there, C3, go to the additional element. The additional element is a suffixal that now kind of takes the sense of something lighting or the sense of the action and turns the action into a noun. So the ber, see, there's no vowel there, ber, but with the suffix, the an, it becomes berhan, berhan, right? So you see the suffix there. Lastly, but not leastly, is the word for throne, right? The word for throne is menber, menber. Now, I know when you see the A there, this is what I was saying before, that in this
Mhm.
particular lesson, like imagine we're in a class, but we have to learn the code of how the letters, the vowels are according to the Ethiopic, not the way we're used to it, right? But when we're seeing these italicized words or these words here that's bringing out the Ethiopic, we have to have that code in mind because and Koma Jed and I, but him initiating it is working on the we're putting it into the proper Ethiopic letters. But the A here is pronounced as the S sound, the first order of the Ethiopic um vowel sound, vocal sound, right? Whenever you see the A with a long slash over it, then that A is ah. So when we see MAN without the bar over the A, it's men, men, men. And then the next part, the bar is really ber, men ber. So we have ber and we have bur. See ber and the formal word is bur, 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 bur. This is be, ber. So here this is menber. So menber means throne. Menber is like a seat, or in the context here, a throne, right? And the root is NBR. I don't want to get into no Neberu thing. Well, anyway, I just put it there so to spark interest on that at another time. You know,
Mm.
pick up on that on Koma Jed. You know, we could do some reasoning on that. Because it actually comes from the root sense of to sit, to be seated, to be seated, to be enthroned, right? So we
Mm.
have the N, the B, and the R. Once again, the Trinity, the tri-consonantal, three-consonant root. And then you'll see something here. Here is different. The vowel pattern is slightly different. It has a hyphen before the first consonant. Why does it have the hyphen? Because this word has a prefix, something that goes before the root, the suffix, something that goes after the root. So before the root is the prefix me, right? This now attaches to the root to take the root idea of seating, or being sitting, enthroned, seated, to make the root verb a noun. So the prefix here, like the suffix in burhan, made the verb root a noun. Here we have the neber, right? The nebera, the neber root now with the ma, right? Or rather the me, right? To make menber. So we have the C, the hyphen is the suffix, the prefix. The hyphen is for the prefix in the front, prefix. Then we have the C1 is the N, right? And notice that the N, notice there's no vowel there. Now, technically, there is the ne. It's me, ne, be, re. Me, ne, be, re. So we could see it and read the letters. It'll be me, ne, be, re. Men, ber, men, ber, men, ber. Right? So that's why it says C1 and there's no vowel there, because in this sense, it's like the schwa in Hebrew. It's closed. It's closed.
Mm.
Right? So the sixth letter sometimes is enunciated like sometimes it's not. The first word, remember, negush, literally is negush. Ne-e-gu-u-she-e. So the last vowel is the same as the first one, but because at the end it's closed. Basically, it's not enunciated. Same thing with menber, right? The menber, the hyphen C1, right? No vowel. So that means it's not menneber. It's not menneber. The only time you say menneber is like if you're teaching somebody or you're being very emphatic. Like if I say menneber, you know, like I'm saying to somebody, the throne. You're not getting the throne, but otherwise you close it, menber. So it has C1, no vowels enunciated, right? And then C2, also the b. The b is enunciated as an e, right? That's why you have the a there, right? Be, right? Be, and then C3 is closed because it's the r. So it's not menneber, but it's menneber, right? So like in Ethiopic is something like those who are familiar with like biblical Hebrew and real Yehudit called Hebrew, you'll recognize that there's a schwa, the schwa, and sometimes it's like enunciated, sometimes it's closed. This is a word, menber, right? It has two closes, the ne and the re, not menneber, but menber. So basically right here, the last part at the bottom, the consonantal sequence. This is the main thing I want ones and ones would like ones and ones to take away, is the tri-consonantal root. You got to know the roots. We talk roots to the gut is roots. We get into the gut is roots. Maybe put that in the title. Work that title out on Koma Jet. Talking about the roots, because this is like the roots. It's important because it's so important. Once you know it, this has saved me so many times, even with Hebrew. Once you know the root, you can break something down, take off the suffix, take off the prefix, get right to the root, and then you begin, okay, and then you work your way up, right? So the consonantal sequence is like the 1, 2, 3, the consonant and what the vocalization, the vowel sound is, the consonant, the vocalization or no vocalization, the consonant, and the vocal 1, 2, 3. but it can have a prefix and it can have a suffix. And this is where sometimes, practice, you'll begin to see it, you pick it up. This is called the root of the set of words that share that sequence and can usually be assigned a meaning common to the set, right? For example, just this part here from the top, the compare lemnisale, negush, negush, and negisht. Negush, negisht, in Amharic, negus, negist, negist, right? In that sense, right? So right there, they're both from the negesha, 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 which means to reign, to rule, negesha, right? Negush, right? Negisht, negisht. And yeah, I pause right here, for the host right here. Yeah. Go down to the bottom part. Okay, you brought it up. You brought it up already? Give thanks. Can you zoom in on it? I don't know if it like maybe fill up a little the screen for the ones and ones. Yeah, just to be able to maybe, yeah, and take a screenshot, for ones, just to follow along, because definitely want peer review. Right. But here we have, for example, from the same NGSH, right? From the negesha root, the NGSH, we have niksh, niksh, niksh. In Guta's ancient enunciation, negish, niksh, 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 nig. Notice the G doesn't have a vowel. It's that sixth order. It's not nigish, not nigish. No, it's niksh, niksh, niksh. In Amharic could be nix, nix, nix. It's like the Sarata Nix. The Sarata Nix is the Carnation book that we was talking about earlier. That's what you see in the Gu'as, like Sarata, the order of Nix. Or in the Gu'as, Sharata, Sharata Nix. Sharata Nix. It's like the order of ruling and reigning, like the ordination, right, of the crown. Then we have also from the same root is we have negashi. Negashi is another way to say negush. So we could say negush, right, as we just saw, and we could say negashi. You see what we're talking about with the long A over the vowel of the G, the second letter, right? Negashi, negashi. Like there's a thing in Ethiopia called Bahar Negash, like the king of the sea, the sea of the king. That area there, the Sea of the King, the Red Sea, Negashi, and then in Arabic, right, from the ancient history, they call King Arma, Nagush Arma. That was the real name of the king that the Muhammad, people came in, the Sahaba of their prophet that came in, they call him Najashi because in Arabic, G is a J sound in Egyptian dialect. No. In Arabic dialect, in Egyptian dialect, they would say Nagashi. They would say Ka. But in other Arabic dialects, they say J, Najashi. But this is Nagashi. That's king number. That's another way to say king, Najashi. It's more of a traditional, name, Najashi, Najashi. Then we have Mengisht, Mengisht, Mengisht. Right? In Amharic, we say it as Mengis. So when we come across the word Mengis in Amharic, we know this is a word that comes from Gu'as. But in ancient Gu'as, it would have been said not as Mengist. It would have been said as Mengisht, 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 the Mengisht. So that's kingdom, like where the king, the Nagashi, right? Nagashi, where he rules. Then we say the next one is Negsha, Negsha, Negsha. Negsha. Negsha means that he became king. Negsha. Negsha. Right? Like Negsha Negush. Right? The king became king in a sense. But Negsha. Negsha is like it's a verb. Right? So far, every other word there is more of a noun sense, but Negsha is he became king, right? He was coronated. It can be like he became king or he was coronated. He was like he got the crown, right? All share the common notion of ruling, reigning, ruling, reigning, kanging. We would say kanging. We was kangs, right? But reigning, ruling sense. Because most of the morphology, you remember Morpheus in the Matrix? The word morph means to change. Like something morphs, it changes, right? So that basically means most of the changes that go from the root, because we just showed you right there. There's negush, negisht, right? There's next, right? There's negashi, there's mengisht, right? There's neksha. All these are different morphings from the same basic NGSH, right? So is devoted to a study of the triliteral, the three letters, the three fidels. We can say it like that, three fidels, the triliteral root and the pattern. The nominal as a name, something being used in the adjectival, like an adjective, his kingly character, in that sense. Kingly there is the adjective. And the verb, the verbal, right? The verbal is like negsha. Negsha is the verb associated with it. It is convenient to have a way of specifying any triliteral root. In other words, it's important to be able to specify and to see the root, the roots, you know what I mean? And to specify what is the three-letter root in a less clumsy fashion than C1, C2, C3, with the hyphens for the vowel sound. So for English, this might be a little clumsy, but it kind of works.
But the hyphen is not for the vowels. That's just the sequence to say consonant 1, 2, and 3 now. In this instance here.
Yeah, but it's the vowels. But it's the vowels.
No, specific. No, it was the vowel before.
Okay. I get what you're saying, but it has space there for the vowel. It basically he's just breaking it down to the main consonantal sound.
This is just the notation for the triliteral root now. So it have the first consonant, a second one, a third one. So, but the next two sentence is clear it up further.
All right, give thanks.
Yes,
give thanks. All right, yes, I. So okay, yes, for this purpose, Semitist or Semitist, right? Semitist, those who study these languages generally employ the quote dummy. Okay, root. Yeah. But see, it's interesting because the linguists, they kind of made this up right there, kind of this pattern, the ketel.
But when I was in one of the earlier lessons, we bring this up, and I think you end up point out that this word is mean to kill or something. So
you know what? Actually, I got my book open right here. Right, let me just look at this real quick right here. Yeah, they kind of use this in a lot of their breakdowns, like to
is that like a demonstration tool or the consonants, the morphologies now. But kettle itself, I think when we did dig it, I think it means to kill or something like that.
Yeah, I think it does right here. I would say yes, yeah. Ketele from yiktil mean to kill or to murder. Yeah, to kill, or in some sense to fight, to battle, but the general sense is connected with the idea of fighting, battling, to kill. Yeah. Right. And then there's a secondary one, ketere, but that's different. But this is ketel. Yeah. So they use this. Yeah, it's interesting that they use it. Thank you for reminding that we did touch on this before previously, because it's a whole other reasoning right there. But they use the QTL as a sample, this root right here. Thus, Negush, Beror, Belui are the pattern, right? Are the pattern Q with the short the T, right? Or the second with the U, and the third, the L with the 6, but the 6 at the end where it closes off. The 6 at the end. So it's not Ketule, is ketul. But if you say each letter by itself to get the pattern, it'll be ke, ketul. But all together, ketul, ketul, ketul. So negush, beror, belui, right? Belui, right? So the second pattern right here, yeah, thank you. I can see what you're saying. It does kind of bring out a good example. Here we have Burhan. Now, notice something right here. There was a little typo up here. They must have missed that when we went to the other page. Did they have the long A? Yeah. No, nothing. They had the long A over the next to the H. So we have
Yeah, man.
Burhan. So the Burhan. Then we have Rishan. No, that's Rishan. There we go, Rishan. Now this is interesting too because we'll touch on it another time. You see the comma. Would that be not a comma? That would be the apostrophe, right? Would that be apostrophe there?
Apostrophe.
So you see the apostrophe right there. When the apostrophe is that way, it means it's a soft A. When the apostrophe is backward, that's the ein. That's the harder kind of A.
So
this
in the in Ethiopic script, in Giz script, the soft A is come like the common A vowel, and then the hard A go be the one will look like a circle.
True. Yeah. But they developed something very clever. The forward apostrophe and the backward one.
Yeah.
For
But
sight.
that's those two. You know the glyph we're talking about.
Yeah. I don't know the one that looks like, I call it a bird, but people may not get it if they look at it. But the one that like a bird and one like a circle, like a zero, or like an eye. In fact, the second one, the circle one, actually represents the letter of the name of the letter is the I. Ein. The ein is the I. So the ein, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that one right there. Yeah. So this would be rish, an, which is if I'm correct, I think that's like the word for like the wicked or something like that. If I'm correct, Rishian, right? But the Rishan, right? Yeah, and then you have Quora. So you see the W there because in Ethiopic they have the regular Q, like the ke, ku, ki, ka, ke, ki, ko, but then they also have the que, kui, kwa, que, o, like with a W sound. So this is like Qurban, like Qurban. This is related to the other words like Korban, right? Korban in that sense. But here in the Ge'ez has a unique, a unique in the Hebrew like Korban, but this is Qurban. That follows the pattern of the ke, te, la, ne, the kit line. Because remember the an is that suffix that changes the verb into a noun, right? Then lastly but not leastly, the pattern here, the mektel, right? The mektel pattern, right? So recognizing these patterns are good because it will let you know how the word is being used in what sense, whether as like a noun, whether as an adjective, or whether in a verb sense. So here we have menber, throne, menber, right? And here we have menfes, not manfas, but the A is the E, right? Menfes. Then we have mercho from merchau. So from merchau, what's in the parentheses? The X is the negusu. The X is the negusu shet, the negusu set. It looks like a trinity. You know the letter. It looks like the Hebrew sheen. It looks like the three on its back, right? It looks like the three on its back. And according to the transliteration that's used right here, This one, I just wanted to confirm this, right, is pronounced as the ch, like ek. You say x, ek, ek. So actually, this would be merchau, merchau, merchau. So merchau, when you contract it, it's merchau. So from merchau to merchau. So the chau becomes cho. Chau, cho, chau, cho. Merchau to merchau. Right? And this one right here is the mekta. So these patterns, yeah, I hope ones and ones, that are interested in the studies, just take whatever notes, whatever you're able to pick up, at first, and just build on that. And similarly, for all the words in the language that can be associated with the the three literal letter root, the extreme usefulness of this device will become apparent in the lessons. And I have to say, yes, 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 yes. You know what I mean? Yes, yes, yes. This is my earthly father, Yah bless his soul, rest in peace, rise in glory, amen. But he's the one that kind of, like, when I was young, taught me certain things with Arabic and a little bit of Hebrew. And that was a lesson he stressed too. So when I came across this particular book and seeing the opening lessons, they bring it out, is very, very important. Sometimes you can learn how to say things, but you only can say things. You can't really break it down because you need to get that root. When discussing roots or sequences of more than 3 consonants, right? There are some, right? We shall employ, like we said right there, the C1, C1, 2, 1. I mean, a C1, C2, C3, C4. And similarly, for more than 4, since no other convention, right? Since no other convention exists, right? Okay. The vocalic patterns, and the vocalic is the vowel. This is one thing I dispute with others, whether this Israelite or that Israelite, when they start to talk about how the Hebrew and words and different things, is that one's missed that Hebrew, right, biblical, has same 7 vowel sounds. You know what I mean? There is what it says in the Bible. It says it's not the letter of the law, but the spirit. Because you see the letters, the letters by themselves, they have different enunciation in order for the language to work. The vocalic patterns, together with prefixes, that which goes before the root, and suffixes after the root, form the subject matter of the grammar. Very few patterns have a completely predictable meaning, but a large number of them belong to the, quote, almost predictable category. That's a good way to say almost predictable category. For example, ketul, slika, wrong T. Ketul, right? Ketul is almost always adjectival. So whenever you see that particular pattern, it's almost an adjective describing the word next to it. In meaning, see lesson 17 and 35. But the 2 frequent nouns cited above, negush and beror, right? Beror are exceptions to this rule. Close attention to the formative patterns and relationships among them will give the reader and hopefully fellow students a proper feeling, vibe for the derivational processes at work in the language. Yeah, give thanks right there. I just want to do this here, but this is good. This is, I would say that we might need to go over this, and if we was all like studying together, we should go over this, because, or at least refer to it. In other words, if you got it, you move on, and you move on. But if you come into difficulty, I would say remember this right here. Go back to the roots. The word beror, is silver. Like we have bur in Amharic, and then beror, right? Beror, silver. Or beror, the word for silver. Yeah, from the sense of light that we were talking about with the Burah, right? Yeah. Yes, I.
Yes, I. So Give thanks for the note, the root and the pattern. Don't forget the root and the pattern. It's most key and vital. Yes, I. We're moving into lesson 3 now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. How's the time going? Okay, cool. Yeah, all right. Let's touch on lesson 3. This is lesson 3, but the roots and the pattern. I would like to just emphasize that, hopefully with I brother, like that's something that sometimes we should just kind of go over, like practice makes perfect. So yeah, let's bring up lesson 3. Lesson 3, here we go. All right, on screen. So noun plurals, lesson 3, 3.1, right? Noun plurals. This is continued from lesson 2. Check out lesson 2 in Coma Jed, on the platform. Check it out. What's the channel? The channel name is Coma Jed. Yes.
Yes, I.
Yeah. So Coma Jed. Check it out definitely check it out so you can, anything you might miss, no doubt it was touched over there. So noun plurals. Continue. The two endings used to form external plurals are, as we saw, the an, the on. Let me just bring this up right here. We had a couple examples right here from just even right now. Burhan, Reshan, Korban, or the on and the at. The on and the at. On is, for the most part, restricted to nouns denoting male human beings. So this is an important thing to understand. Nouns denoting, referring to male human beings, right, have the on. For example, there's Mesheger, right? Mesheger is like a fisherman, one, Mesheger, right? Mesheger, right? Plural, in the plural sense, is Meshegeran. So the Meshegeran are fishermen. Mesheger is a fisherman, one, and Meshegeran is like many, right? Then we have leak, right? Le, lu, li, the third vocalization of the seventh. Leak. So leak is like, here it's brought out as from the Gutters as an elder or a chief, but it tends to have a sense of one who is superior. Like in Amharic from the Gutters, Lika Kahinat. Lika, right, is the one who is a chief or the elder, the superior of the Kahinat. Kahinat, right, would be like the priest, Lika Kahin, right? Lika Kahin, right? Lika Kahin, Lika Kahin. So here we have leak on. So leak is a elder or a chief, but in Amharic you might hear the word is tend to use like sometimes for scholars, on that level, but elders, chiefs, one who is superior, right? Like usually referring to like in learning or experience on that level. Leak for one, leak on for many. So here for the on, we have Meshegeran, Mesheger, fisherman, Mesheger, and fishermen, Meshegeran. For like an elder, leak, a chief, leak, and for chiefs, right, leak on, and for elders, leak on. Now the at. Now notice also the a with the bar over it. That means that a is a ah, it's a full a, right? Just to make that distinction. Has no such restriction, as we mentioned. It has no such restriction when we said that the leak Kahinat, the chief of the priests, is like the high priest in that sense. So here we have Nebi.
They say the an part is mostly when it's a male denoting, but they say in the at. And no, it's not really bound to be male. It could be male or female or other things.
That is correct. That is correct. Even though sometimes when it's not the at, right, or the at, like with negist, it does denote the feminine in that sense. But with the at, yeah. So we have Nebi, for example, Nebi, Nebi, not Nabi. That's other dialect, other languages. Ethiopically and Amharic, Nebi, 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 right, is a prophet or one who, yeah, sees prophetically. In other words, Nebiyat, Nebiyat, Nebiyat is the prophets. Nebiyat. So we have Nebi, a prophet, Nebiyat, prophets. Negisht, Negisht, right? Negisht is queen. Negisht, Negisht, right? Amharic Negisht, but here Negisht. Then we have queens, Negishtat, Negishta, Negistat. That's like the queen of queens. Negishta, Negistat, right? Negisht or Negista, Negistat, right? In Amharic, right? So here we have Negistat, queens, Negistat. Then for a wilderness, in some sense, sometimes this word also refers like to a monastery, because usually a monastery is usually like some place like secluded. Think about like the whole Mount Sinai, that was like a monastery. But anyway, we have Gedam, Gedam, Gedam. So we have the word Gedam, 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 right? Gedam is like a wilderness, or in times of the church, as we might come across it, it can be like a monastery. But the idea is the monastery is in away from the cities, like in the wilderness. So the Gedam, and then the Gedamat, 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 the Gedamat. The Gedamat is the plural, like wildernesses, right? Plural. So the At, as was mentioned, does not have such restriction. The At, right? Nabi, prophet, Nabiyat, prophets. Negisht, queen, Negistat, queens, right? Gedam, a wilderness or monastery. Gedamat, 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 wildernesses. So moving forward right here, right? Take note of those two right there, the an sound as a suffix and the ant. It is by no means uncommon to find broken plurals further pluralized. So broken plurals is kind of like a doubling down, can be further pluralized by the ending at. But because these forms are sporadic and easily identified, they will not be listed in the lesson vocabularies. In other words, there's like other ways. It's more like, how when we just turn up a word, right? The word is already plural, but then they will add the at to make it even more plural sense, right? Several biconsonantal. That means, so remember we talk about triconsonantal roots, which is a general pattern, the trinity among the Semitic languages, the Shem languages or Semitic languages. But here we have bi, two consonants, right? Where there's two main root letters, right? Several biconsonantal nouns have plural endings in o, l. Now there it looks like or, like we say, oh, no, but basically this is l. Remember the pattern, right? The a, right, without the bar over it is the first u, e, ah. So the ah is only when you see in the transliteration the a with a bar over it, like the at and like the an. This will be l, right? So several biconsonantal nouns have plurals that ending in o. For example, there is id, id. This is interesting because in Hebrew we have yad, in Amharic we have ij. So here's where ij come from. Go ahead.
What age that? What age you talking about?
Ij hand, not
Ah,
lidge, not lidge. Ij. Ij
age.
is hand. Like ij no, my hand. It's my hand. Ij no. But I'm saying like ij come from id. So you see id right there. Id is hand singular. Id, right? So we have id. It's a soft a. Id. It's not id. It's not id. It's id. Remember the comma is the forward. Id. The plural is edo. 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 Edo is hand. Edo. Edo. Right? So we have id, hand, edo. Right? We're gonna go straight down. Now we have, notice here, I don't know if you can zoom in, but if you can show them the E and the D with the dot underneath right there. Now notice the comma is backwards. So there's these two ah sound. One is soft ah, like an id, and the other one is hard ah. It's ah ah ah. As we have here with the backward apostrophe, it's 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 interesting because the D with the dot underneath it is one of two similar sound, like it's like a like a D T Z. So it's is trees. In fact, in Amharic, it's interesting because in Hebrew it's eight is tree. So this is kind of shared, but here it's then trees are it's o. All right. We have it's trees. So notice when we look at the English, it looked the same, right? The word for hands is id, right, and ido. The word for tree is it's and it's o. Then we have id, id, like the id. What's id? Id is a male. Id, right? The id is a male. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Uh, all right. Yeah. Bring that up, because what we have to do. Hopefully, we can, like, maybe when we come into the lesson again, follow up on it. It'll be good to kind of maybe go over this and have something.
Yeah, man. So look the common D glyph here, and then the strong D here, so look like a theta. That we did bring this up too. That looking like theta. You understand? I think that might have some kind of etymological link with that,
Yeah. One is more of an S. It's like and one is like stir.
I was saying, but the symbol. If you watch the symbol for that one there with the th kind of sound, it looked like the Greek symbol theta, which is also t kind of thing now.
Yeah, but it has that kind of, like, you see the one above it is the sa, and that one is more like the like sa and sa and sa,
Yeah.
more high, and more kind of bass. The hard and soft. Basically, we call it hard and soft, like the aleph, and like te and te. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it kind of has that balance there. But yeah, those are interesting. But when you see it, like what Ankoma is saying, when you see it in the letters, you can see the distinction by the letters. But in transcribing them into sound right here, right, they are seemingly close. So id is males, and iddo. What it be like? What's that? What up, though? What up, though? Iddo. What up, Iddo? The Chicago, yeah, but yeah, id. So the id and iddo is like males. Iddo is males. Now on the opposite side, right? The opposite side right here, right? We have the af. Af is mouth. I don't know if you can zoom in on that right there for them. But the af, that column right there, the af is like mouth, right? Mouth, a mouth. Afo is like mouse, plural, mouse. Afo, mouse, singular, af, mouth. Then we have ab. Now remember, it's the forward apostrophe that tells us it's the a sound that has a lighter sound to it. Af, and here we have ab. Right? Ab is father, right? And abo, right? That w is important. Abo is like father's abo, right? So we have Now here we have ich, ich, right? Ich, 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 ich. It's like in Hebrew we say ach, like ach. What's up, achi, achi, aki, achi. Actually, more achi, right? Not aki, but achi. So here is from the similar. We have eh and and ech, 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 ech is brother, and acho, acho is like brothers. Acho, 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 brothers, and ech, 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 ech. It's like ech, but here acho or echo. It's like a echo, right? And echo, right? Echo, abo, right? Af, right? Now, of course, like with the a there in those words, it's a little bit different. It's not just f. It's not f or eb, right? But it takes on a little bit, right? It's not a long ab, but it's ab, abo, right? Echo, ech, echo, 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 or echo, right there. But yeah, so these are interesting words because they have like two letters, but they're words that you can see that will be used very often, right, in many senses. Now we have the word for man. Man is bi I c, bi I c, bi I c. Now, you see, we have the BE. Remember from the beginning of the lesson, the E in these lessons has the I sound. E, U, E, I, A, I. It's a sixth letter. You see, there's the forward. Notice there's the forward apostrophe, but there's no vowel sound. This is because it's seeking to bring out the I. So I, I. So both of it has the same vowels. One is the B with the I, bi, and then it's the aleph with the I. So bi si, bi si, bi si, bi si, bi si, bi si. Bi si is man. Bi si is like man. Bi seat is woman. Bi si, man. Bi seat, woman. Bi si, man. Bi seat, woman. Have the plural, right? Have the plurals seb, it. So where like sob, it's actually se, bi, it, seb, it. Now sebe is interesting because sebe is has a lot to do with like the human being, like man in the good sense, the ancient like human being. So we have sebe, sebe, sebe. So that apostrophe is important because when you see it written, it's actually a letter. Seb it, right? But it might be sounded light. Seb it, right? And honest, 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 honest is like woman, right there, right? For the female, right? Respectively. The word sebe, which as a plural may be translated as man, like human beings, sebe, right? Or people, sebe, right? Like sometimes you're hearing them hard, they'll say beta seb. That come from guts, right? Beta seb, right? Like if I say beta saboche, wendeme, beta saboche and demen nacho, like your family, right? Beta saboche, right? And demen, how, nacho, how are they? So beta seb is like the house of a man, or the house of men, of people, of human beings, right? So it's translated as men or people. I like to use human beings. May also be used as a singular noun. So if you heard me first, I said sebit man. Then I remember as I read on, they have it here. It can also be used for a plural sense, a plural or singular noun in the sense of a man or mankind. It's like Adam in Hebrew. Adam is like one man, but Adam can be human beings. You know what I'm saying? Just people. You know what I'm saying? So a man or mankind. So we have Sebe, right? As for men, people, or like human beings, can be used as singular sense of a human being, sebit, right? Or human beings, right? You know, humanity, mankind, right? So yeah, this is interesting here because one thing I love about these lessons, or I find to be very beneficial, you know, keeping it objectively, right? Speaking, is that it breaks down certain concepts as you go through it. You might be like, hey, I want to learn this, I want to learn that, but the order of breaking these things down with the lessons that come forward later on, you might have to come back to this again, but it'll be good because you'll see that you're learning, and the context will come in by use. So 3.2, just the second part of this right here, the 3.2, lesson 3, second part is collectives. Collectives, right? The collectives, right? Some nouns formally singular, some nouns, right? That before were singular, they designate groups and species as well as a single item. This is the curious thing about certain Semitic or Shemitic, Afro-Shemitic languages like Ge'ez, is that, as it says, collectives. There are some nouns that basically in previous times, mainly singular, that also can be used for groups or its kind. Like when we say Sebe, Sebe can be like a man, Sebe can be like men and people. Sebe can also bring out the sense of humanity, you know, like human rights, you know, in that sense, human beings, right? Yeah. So the example here is it's right. It's a tree. It's right. The plural. It's oh. It's oh. It's oh. It's oh. It's oh. Right. So it's oh. Right. It's a group of trees, or it could be like a grove or woods. Also, it denotes the material wood. This is interesting. So he said a tree of life can also be the wood of life, you know, within the context. The tree of life can also be like the wood of life, denoting the material wood, right? So that's also a note that must be kept in mind, right? When we're looking at the Ge'ez, right? Now, of course, when we get to, some might hear this and say, hey, that sounds like in Amharic, it's actually herb. Just want to point that out. It's actually herb. You know what I mean?
It's herbs.
In Amharic.
True, true.
So you see how it all comes from the tree. Yeah.
Mhm.
The link there, right? So you can see the holistic, even the language, when we start to, you know, learn it and see the connection, has a holistic aspect. The next word here with the backward apostrophe, the O and the F, this means we have another hard sound from the ein order, right? U, E, R, A, I, O. So this is the O, off, right? So the word off, right? Off, right? Off is a bird, off, a bird, right? Off is a bird. The plural, right, of this, the proper plural is iwaf, iwaf. So there's the word iwaf is like birds, iwaf, right? But when we use the singular, off can be also fowl in general, like the birds, the off of, you know, the samai, off of the samai, the bird. It's a bird of the air, but can mean also like the birds of the air. The proper plural is iwaf, off singular, iwaf, 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 iwaf. So we have the iwaf, off, birds. Then we have his, 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 right? His.
Blessed coronation, my Lord. Rastafari. Yeah, man.
Blessed. What do you say? Negusa Neges, Baal, Melkam, Negusa Neges, Baal, Baal, Zod, right? Zod, Baal, right? Baal, yeah, Zod, yeah, beautifully good, King of Kings, anointing and crowning day. You know, I just want to bring out that emphasis because anointing preceded the crowning. And that explains the true context of the anointed king and the Messiah aspect there with the anointing. Yes, yes, blessed, blessed, blessed. So we have his, right? His people, his behoy, his behoy, Melkam, Negusim, Negest, Zod, Baal. Beautifully good, King of Kings. His, we're on the word his, his is people, right? His is like a nation, right? In the plural sense, ahzab, ah, ahzab, 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 ah. If you look, the H underneath it, the H has underneath it a dot. That's the second. That's the H that looks like it has like the trinity of the three on like the pitchfork in a sense. That's a ha, right? Ha, he, hu, he, ha, hey, hit. This is it. His, 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 right? People, a nation, ahzab. Ahzab is a plural, and often this is used like for Gentiles or other nations, right? You know, like Israel, like of Israel, Ethiopia, right? But Ahzab is like nations, nationalities, or sometimes as Gentiles. In some translation, they may translate as heathen, but this means other people groups, right? People as a plural, right? Or nations usually. Then we have Dekika. I remember Dekika Israel from the good studies. Dekika Ethiopia, right? Dekik is like a child, or offspring. Dekik, Dekik, Dekik is like offspring. Dekik, progeny, Dekik, right? Children, Dekik, right? Phrase I know from early Rastafari writings, you know, Dekika Israel, like from some of the kind of writings in the churchical writings, the children of Israel, or Dekika, Ethiopia, if you please. Yeah. So when there is a conflict between form, singular, and meaning, plural, the noun may be construed either way. This is the interesting thing when we talk about the Targum. Targum is like interpretation, or yeah, interpreting it. So when there's a conflict, that the form is singular but the meaning may be plural, right? The noun could be construed and seen either way. For example, right here it has metzah, hizb, his, or metzu his. So right? Metzah or metzah, his means like he came, the people. To say like a people came, literally. Metzah, his, a people came. Then you see the next one is metzu, his. Metzu means they, but his just means one, like one people, like one like group of people, one people, or it could be one nation. But the verb metzu is a plural sense, so it can be the people came, right, or people, like peoples come. You know, it can have the plural sense there, especially with the metzu. Metzu, right, is like many, and metzah is like one. But it can kind of go either or, either. Yes, I. Yeah, you want to pick up? Okay, give thanks, give thanks. Yeah. Eight. Yeah, eight's in Hebrew right there. Awo. Yes, I. Yes, I. Well, that's it.
It seemed like someone's who waiting on the iPodcast find themselves over on the lesson here, looking
No,
like
no, no, but that's just how we should do. Just support each other's platform as much as we can. That we know we're probably gonna be into this for a little bit, so we kind of just, had it sent out so that ones and ones can, see the works going on here and support the platform, support the studies, man. You
give
know what I
time.
mean? Yes, I. But yeah, man. Um, we definitely have to pick up. I want to speak to the eye, like behind the scenes, because like definitely want to pick up, y'all will, and I want to pick up a little sooner, but I'll just discuss it with the eye and see how the eye stay. Just to maybe we may have a follow up sooner, right? Maybe sooner. Definitely to keep the momentum as best as possible on this. For real. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's see over here. Yeah. Yeah, to the platform right here. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Let's see if we can do this. Does it work? Good thanks, Uncle Jed. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I don't know if you can hear that at all. Could you hear that at all?
Was that some kind of a kind of
So,
sound
some
just now?
applause. Yeah, applause. It probably came out odd because it's from a different platform. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, man, yeah, man. So
yeah.
you see,
Yes, yes, So let's see if we can seal up for a moment. Keep it like kind of like short right here, but a lot was packed in. Hopefully,
yeah,
if before we go into even the vocabulary, I'd like to maybe if we get a chance in the next day or two before
yeah,
like next week, we can maybe go through unpacking. 'Cause I want to get the eye take on some things and just what I mean. Yeah, have a little opportunity to mediate. Yeah, at this point.
yes, I will give thanks. I find the what we get through there was good and succinct, and we go follow up with the part two, going into the vocabulary and I'll go get a chance to refine the answers too now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I'm a link with the eye because while I was going through it, some things that we was reasoning about came up, so we can make it like just more clear. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Yeah.
mm,
I think some of these little word examples, if we can put them in the right fidelat, we should kind of like we can make a or you can make we both of us for the lessons make a kind of a almost like a post, like a presentation poster, like where it's like kind of large. I think those
mm.
examples would be
Yes,
good, for ourselves and whoever else is interested in studying. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
man.
Yes,
So
sir.
we'll give thanks for the high time and attention, Ras Iadonis, you know what I mean?
Give
Give
thanks.
thanks to follow along in the lesson under the eye tutelage,
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Respect.
man. Good word. Good word. Tutor. We always strengthen one another. Iron sharpen iron. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.
You know.
Yes, I so what do you say over on the eye channel now with the
Yeah,
podcast?
yeah. Probably in a moment. I'm gonna take a little moment to yeah. So we're already into this. Well, yeah. Ethiopia in biblical time, the day begins. The new day begins from the evening. You know
Mm-hmm.
that it began from the evening time. So technically, we already once the evening come in, we was already into the eve of coronation day. You know what I mean? But yeah, man,
Yeah.
Melkam, Negusin, I guess, Zod Baal. Zod is like the crowning, the crown Baal, the crown celebration Baal. That's another interesting thing we have to touch on too, because when we get into ancient biblical things, certain word sounds, they kind of provoke people. They have some ideas. Like
Mm.
Baal may sound like Baal, and you hear people going off on different things, but there's even a more intrinsic meaning, like more logic, more sense. But that in the Ethiopic is like for a celebration, a type of celebration. Is yeah, we can touch on that. But yeah, the Zod
Yeah.
Baal. Gusto na guess. Go to Maui
Yes.
gusto na guess.
Yeah, man. So give thanks for the for all and I tuning in. Blessed coronation,
Um,
Rastafari,
right.
and we go to come in again with part two of this lesson three.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. Strength and powers, Rastafari.
Yes, sir. Rastafari. Give thanks. Give thanks on Koma Jet. Give thanks. Yes, sir. Rastafari.
Yeah, man.